Have you ever wondered why some of the most vibrant, emotionally rich, and intuitive women find themselves entangled with men who seem to be living in a desolate, colorless inner world? It is a paradox as ancient as myth, a tragic dance played out in the silent theater of the unconscious. This is not a story of simple incompatibility, but of a profound psychic magnetism, a gravitational pull of the void toward the light. At its heart lies a man who is spiritually empty. He is not necessarily a bad man, not in the overt, villainous sense. He may be successful, charming, even seemingly kind. But beneath the carefully constructed persona, the ego-driven fortress he presents to the world, there is a hollow chamber. An echo where a soul should be. This is the man who has never undertaken the hero's journey inward, who has fled from his own shadow, and who has left his anima, the feminine principle within him, unseen, undeveloped, and starving in the dungeons of his psyche. He walks through life with a hunger he cannot name, a thirst that no worldly success can quench. And then, he finds her. A woman radiating what he lacks. The divine feminine. She is not a goddess on a pedestal, but a woman deeply connected to the source of life itself. Her emotions are not a weakness but a superpower, her intuition a trusted guide. Her inner world is a lush, vibrant ecosystem. She feels everything, and in this feeling, she finds meaning. She creates, she nurtures, she transforms. Her energy is generative, it builds worlds. To the spiritually empty man, she is an oasis in the desert of his own making. He doesn't see her merely as a person, he sees her as a salvation. A source. His attraction is not born of genuine admiration for her wholeness, but of a desperate, primal need. It is the unconscious recognition of a missing part of himself. In the language of Carl Jung, he sees his own underdeveloped anima projected onto her. She becomes the externalized, living embodiment of the soul he has refused to cultivate within. This is why the connection feels so electric, so fated, almost cosmically ordained in its early stages. He mirrors her light so perfectly, reflecting her depth, her passion, her empathy back at her. He becomes a chameleon, adopting the colors of her soul to camouflage his own emptiness. For a time, you might believe you have found your counterpart, a man who finally sees you. But are you being seen, or are you simply being consumed? He studies your essence not to understand you, but to learn how to better extract what he needs. He learns the language of emotional depth without ever feeling its true meaning, like a man reading a menu in a language he doesn't speak, pointing at the words that he knows will get him fed. His compliments are not gifts, they are investments. His attention is not presence, it is a reconnaissance mission. He needs her energy to animate his hollow shell, to give him the feeling of being alive that he cannot generate for himself. This is the great deception. He appears to be connecting with her spirit, when in reality, he is siphoning it. He is a psychic vampire, not with fangs and a cape, but with a wounded ego and an insatiable void. The woman who embodies this divine feminine energy is often a healer, a giver, an empath by nature. Her instinct is to nurture, to mend, to bring life to barren places. It is her greatest gift and, if unharnessed, her most profound vulnerability. When she encounters this empty man, her soul recognizes his drought. She sees not the void, but the potential for a garden. In her profound capacity for love and transformation, she believes her light is enough to illuminate his darkness, that her inner wellspring is deep enough to fill his emptiness. This is her fatal flaw, born of a noble but misguided compassion. She projects her own integrated animus, her inner masculine principle of strength, order, and potential, onto him. She sees a king in a man who has never even dared to enter his own kingdom. She mistakes his need for love, his dependency for devotion. Why does she do this? Often, it is because her own journey of individuation is incomplete. She has not yet learned the sacred boundary between giving and sacrificing. She has not yet fully owned her power, and so she seeks to see it validated and reflected in the man she chooses. She becomes the cosmic mother to a man-child, pouring her life force into a vessel that has no bottom. You pour and you pour, believing that eventually he will be filled, that he will rise up and meet you as an equal. But a void cannot be filled from the outside. It can only be filled by the man himself, through the courageous and terrifying work of descending into his own soul. An endeavor he has spent his entire life avoiding. The transaction begins subtly. It feels like profound intimacy. He craves your stories, your dreams, your fears. He wants to know every contour of your inner landscape. You feel deeply heard, profoundly witnessed. But look closer. The flow of energy is almost entirely one way. He is a black hole, and her light bends inexorably toward him. When you are with him, you feel vibrant, essential, powerful, because your energy is being actively drawn out, put to use animating his world. He becomes more creative, more energetic, more engaged with life. His friends comment on how happy he seems, how much he has changed. He is, for a time, a reflection of your vitality. But what happens when you are apart? You feel an inexplicable exhaustion, a subtle but persistent drain. A psychic weariness that sleep cannot cure. This is the hallmark of the energy vampire. His presence creates a temporary high, a surge of purpose in you, followed by a crash. This is the addict's cycle, and he has made you both the drug and the dealer. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca warned, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for a kindness, but also an opportunity for a loss of self. The spiritually empty man exploits this opportunity. He exists in a state of constant reactivity, his emotional state entirely dependent on external validation, your validation. He has no internal locus of control, no self-sustaining core. You, in your journey toward wholeness, are cultivating the Stoic ideal, a tranquil inner citadel, a peace that is not contingent on the world outside. He senses this citadel within you, and because he cannot build his own, he seeks to become its sole resident. Then comes the inevitable turning point. The mask begins to slip. No man can sustain a persona built on borrowed light indefinitely. The woman, whose intuition has been whispering warnings all along, finally begins to listen. The exhaustion becomes too profound to ignore. She starts to notice the inconsistencies, his proclaimed love for her depth, yet his subtle dismissal of her emotions when they become inconvenient for him. His grand promises for the future, which remain perpetually on the horizon, never materializing in the present. She begins to pull back, to conserve her energy, not as a conscious strategy, but as an act of psychic self-preservation. And this is when his true shadow emerges from the depths. The charming, attentive man is replaced by something else entirely. The void, now threatened with the withdrawal of its source, panics. His need curdles into resentment. His admiration twists into envy. He begins to resent her for the very light he was so drawn to, because it is a constant, painful reminder of his own inner darkness. He cannot possess it, so he must try to diminish it, to control it, to tarnish it. Subtle criticisms begin to pepper his words. He might call you too sensitive, too emotional, too much. These are not observations, they are weapons. He is attempting to convince you that your greatest strengths are your deepest flaws, so that you will doubt yourself and become easier to control. He needs you to believe you are broken so you will never realize you have the strength to leave. This is the stage of psychological warfare, the desperate gambit of a starving ego. His tactics are classic, yet devastatingly effective. Gaslighting becomes his primary tool. He will deny your reality, rewrite history, and make you question your own sanity. An argument that was clearly about his behavior will be twisted until you find yourself apologizing. He will future fake, painting beautiful, elaborate pictures of a life together, a life that is always just around the corner, contingent upon you being a little more patient, a little more understanding, a little less, you. This keeps you hooked on the potential of who he could be, distracting you from the reality of who he is. Intermittent reinforcement is his masterpiece. Just when you are at your breaking point, ready to walk away, he will offer a glimmer of the man you first met. A moment of tenderness, a profound apology, a flash of insight. This is the breadcrumb that keeps you starving but hoping for a feast. It is a calculated measure to reset your tolerance for mistreatment and to reignite your hope. From a Jungian perspective, his ego is fighting for its very survival. Because it has no true foundation in the self, it is a fragile construct built entirely on external validation, your validation. To lose you is not just to lose a relationship. For him, it feels like a psychic death, an annihilation. And his ego will resort to any measure of control and manipulation to prevent that collapse. The escape begins not with a dramatic exit, but with a quiet, internal shift. It is the moment you reclaim your mind. This is where the wisdom of the ancient Stoics becomes your most powerful ally. Epictetus taught that the chief task in life is to separate what is in our control from what is not. You cannot control his emptiness, his choices, or his desperate manipulations. You can only control your own responses, your own judgments, and your own focus. The woman must begin the sacred and difficult work of emotional and energetic detachment. This is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about withdrawing your psychic investment from a bankrupt soul. It is the realization that your energy is a finite, precious resource, and you have been pouring it into a sieve. You must consciously, deliberately, redirect that flow of energy back into yourself. Imagine it as a golden river that has been diverted to water a barren land, and now you are building a dam and redirecting its course back to your own garden. This process is painful. It requires a radical, brutal honesty. You must grieve the man you thought he was, the future you imagined. You must face the part of yourself that colluded in this dynamic, the part that wanted to be the savior. It is a confrontation with your own shadow. But with each act of reclaiming your focus, with each moment you choose your own peace over his chaos, you fortify your inner citadel. You stop reacting and begin acting from a place of sovereign authority over your own life. This journey of detachment is the crucible for your individuation. By severing the parasitic bond, you are forced to confront the places within yourself that you had outsourced to him. The divine feminine, in her quest for wholeness, must integrate her own inner masculine, her animus. For too long, you projected your animus onto him, seeing him as the container for your dreams, your protector, your agent of action in the world. Now, you must take that projection back. You must become your own hero. This means cultivating the positive qualities of the integrated masculine within yourself: fierce boundaries, unwavering discernment, logical clarity, and the capacity for decisive action. You learn to say no not as a rejection of him, but as a profound yes to yourself. You learn to trust your own mind as much as you trust your own heart. This is the hieros gamos, the sacred marriage that takes place within your own soul. The union of your divine feminine essence, your intuition, creativity, and emotional depth, with your divine masculine essence, your structure, your focus, and your sovereignty. When this inner union occurs, the desperate need for an external counterpart to complete you vanishes. You are no longer half of a whole, searching for your missing piece. You become the whole itself. This is a terrifying prospect for the man who fed on your fragmented state. Your wholeness makes you impenetrable to his manipulations. Your self-validation makes his validation irrelevant. Your inner peace exposes his chaos for what it is, a problem for him, not for you. And what of the spiritually empty man when his source is gone? The aftermath is not pretty. The chameleon, with no colors to borrow, reverts to its native state, a pale, featureless gray. The borrowed light is extinguished, and he is plunged back into the darkness of his own inner world, a place he has spent a lifetime avoiding. All the energy, the charisma, the vibrancy he displayed with you vanishes, because it was never his to begin with. He is confronted with the stark, terrifying reality of his own void. This is his moment of ultimate choice, his true dark night of the soul. He can finally turn inward and begin the excruciatingly painful work of digging his own well, of confronting his traumas, of integrating his shadow, of cultivating a soul where there was only a vacancy. This is the path of the spiritual warrior, a path of immense courage. But it is a path rarely taken. More often than not, the ego's terror of the void is too great. His addiction to external energy is too strong. Instead of turning inward, he will immediately begin scanning the horizon for a new source. He will seek out another vibrant, intuitive woman, another oasis. He will replay the same script, adopt the same persona, and begin the parasitic cycle anew. He does not learn, he only repeats. He remains a ghost, a hollow man forever haunting the lives of women who are overflowing with the very life he lacks, a tragic figure trapped in a cycle of his own making. For the woman, life after the void is a rebirth. The silence left by his absence is not empty, it is filled with the sound of her own soul. The energy that was once siphoned away now floods her own being. It is a renaissance of creativity, of purpose, of joy. She discovers that the vitality she thought he brought to her life was, in fact, her own energy being reflected back at her. Now, she gets to keep it all. This is the state of what modern psychology calls a secure attachment with the self. Her sense of worth is no longer a fluctuating stock price dependent on the market of his approval, it is a deep, unshakable bedrock. She no longer looks for a man to build a world for her, because she is busy building her own. Her relationships transform. She is no longer a magnet for psychic voids because she now operates at a frequency they cannot perceive. Like attracts like. Her wholeness, her self-possession, her sovereign energy becomes a beacon for an entirely different kind of man, a man who has done his own inner work. A man who has his own well, his own light, his own soul. A man who is drawn to her not out of need, but out of a resonance of two whole beings choosing to share their abundance. He doesn't want to consume her light, he wants to stand beside her and see their combined light shine even brighter. This dynamic is more than just a personal tragedy, it is an archetypal pattern that speaks to a deep imbalance in the collective. It reflects a world where the feminine principle, intuition, connection, emotional depth, being, has been devalued, and the imbalanced masculine principle, striving, conquering, doing, ego, has been overglorified. The spiritually empty man is a product of this imbalance. He has been taught to build an impressive external fortress while his internal landscape turns to desert. The divine feminine woman is also a product of this imbalance, taught that her value lies in her ability to give, to nurture, to heal others, often at the expense of herself. Her journey of awakening is therefore a revolutionary act. By reclaiming her energy, by refusing to be a source for the void, she is not only saving herself, she is helping to heal the collective wound. She is demonstrating that the purpose of the divine feminine is not to be an endless battery for the unindividuated masculine, but to be a sovereign power in its own right. Her wholeness becomes the new standard. She teaches, not through words, but through her very being, that a man must meet her in fullness, not in emptiness. He must bring his own kingdom, not seek to colonize hers. This is the profound shift that can heal the world, not women endlessly pouring themselves out, but women standing in their radiant, self-contained power, inspiring men to finally do the courageous work of finding their own. You now stand in the quiet dawn of your new life. The frantic noise of his chaos has faded, replaced by a profound and steady inner peace. You have walked through the underworld of your own psyche and emerged, not unscathed, but whole. The scars you bear are not signs of damage, but maps of your journey, testaments to your strength. You have faced the void, both his and the one he mirrored in you, and you have chosen the soul. You have chosen yourself. The hunger for external validation is gone, replaced by a deep, nourishing connection to your own inviolable worth. You have become the woman you were always meant to be before the world told you to be smaller, quieter, and less. You are the alchemist who has turned the lead of pain into the gold of wisdom. Your heart, once broken, is now stronger, more discerning, and capable of a love that is both fierce and free, a love that emanates from abundance, not from lack. The ghosts of the past no longer have power here. You are the sovereign queen of your own inner kingdom, and the gates are guarded by wisdom, strength, and self-love. You have finally learned the most crucial lesson of all. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.